Welcome, ma'am. The Journey podcast, where we explore journeys from people from all walks of life. Tell us a little more about how your upbringing was at Parampur, the little details, your childhood, and everything that shaped your journey.
Very simple, humble upbringing, normal middle class family, um, Odia schooling.
Okay.
Then I did my psychology
Hmm.
undergrad. I wanted to continue in psychology, but I got into MBA in Berhampur University.
All right.
So all my schooling years are there. After that, I don't think I was satisfied with it. There was an somehow artist within me. She wanted to have probably something more. I had a year and a half in Calcutta for interior decoration. But growing up in Berhampur was like, normal childhood, how you play outside with friends and walk to school, walk to college.
So it was the
Nothing fancy,
fancy, yeah?
nothing fancy.
Hmm.
I don't think the Bollywood movie had affected much that time.
Hmm.
Parents were into like, once a month or once 2 month, one Odia movie. So that was not affecting our psyche yet.
Hmm.
If I remember, TV came in our home probably in 1984.
Okay.
But those days, TV is like Krusi Darshan. You don't
Correct.
even fantasize anything.
This is plain
But we
Cartoon
had a
Darshan.
plain, nice childhood playing with kids outside on the street. Even thoda gilli danda we played with it.
I wanted to know about Astanaika Tattva Kabita. It explores the 8 characters from different archetypes. Which character do you think resonates most with the modern Indian contemporary woman?
Yeah, I would say even if modern woman, I think Biraha Utkantita would be the character, the mood of any woman. The reason is we have everything. Like, if you call Swadhina Bhartuka, she has a husband, she has a partner, they love, adore him. And maybe every other character that you, mood that you think,
Hmm.
they have somebody in their life physically. Vira Utkantita is one thing where it's a devotional thing, where the soul's journey to meet the Supreme Soul,
Okay.
right? You don't have God with you, you're still longing for Him. So that's why most of us will fall into Vira Utkantita. If you're in material plane, I don't know, people can be indifferent. I belong to this category.
Understood. Understood. You primarily grown up in Berhampur, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay. So how has the imagery and your upbringing in Berhampur affected references in your piece of art, in your poetry, compared to the stark contrast to where you're living right now in the States, if any at all?
Mostly in my writings, it does reflect my childhood memories or whatever upbringing time, right? They every experience they go into our subconscious mind. When you start writing, when you start writing poetry or speak or just connect with people, all those memories they jump out. So I'm sure part of my upbringing with the cultural exposure, my parents were very much into art and culture, literature. So it reflects, doesn't matter where you live, your roots are same.
You take a
So
piece of it wherever, I mean, in
yes,
whatever art form you express.
yes. Even if I
Right.
live in US, doesn't matter.
It felt like the artist inside you felt like getting out of the comfort zone and expressing herself, or
Artist freed herself much later in life. The next chapter of life was like got married.
Mhm.
I didn't know my husband much. So it's a chapter I call like a known unknown. Like, and I know that I was getting into an unknown territory. I got married, straight away moved to US. And my husband by then he had started his company.
Okay.
He was an entrepreneur and he needed time. So the very first gift he gave to his newly married wife was GMAT and TOEFL book.
Oh, that's a change in
Yes,
yeah.
completely just. No, you just come down from Bollywood to ground.
Yeah, 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 got it.
And I had to prepare entrance and got into MBA there again. I did that. But I realized by then, like, I wanted to have children, at least two kids, and my husband is busy. So parenting has become my next job. So as soon as I finished study, I wanted to have kids. For good 25 years, I was like driving them around. Like, in US, you don't have help. There is no concept of a cook or
Maid
a
or nanny,
driver
yeah,
or
yeah,
maid or nanny,
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Either you have to have enough money to pay for them, or
You just
you
do it
do
by
on your own.
yourself,
So
yeah.
basically, it's your job. If I would just go to a job, I have to earn enough to pay them,
Hmm.
or I stay home, don't pay that. So so I thought parenting was my job. Once kids finished their schooling, towards the last year when my younger one was in high school, 2019,
Hmm.
that's when I started to feel a little bit, okay, what is next? What, how I can use my education, how to put it to good work.
That existentialism crept in, you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
that slowly started making me a little bit of, I don't know, in the depression mode. I
Yes, that
won't call
happened.
it a completely
Depression,
depression,
yeah.
but I was like introspecting myself, how I'm supposed to spend my time. That's when a dear friend of ours was very nice. He, something I had written to him, he said, "You are a poet." I said, "No, I'm not a poet." So no, you have a talent, you must nurture. That's when I started thinking. I started writing slowly, and he would help me a little bit of a correcting and all, because I started in Hindi.
So it's only after moving to the States that you started writing, you say?
Oh, after moving, after 25 years of living there. So my journey is very recent, and then with the pandemic in 2020, it actually started picking up.
Alright.
That's where I got into Odia writing. So before that, it was only Hindi and English for an year. And when I started writing in Odia, got then literature opens a whole window. You just get connected with so many people whom you never knew before. Those friend circle was not existing before, and all of a sudden they come into your
Opened up, yeah.
opened up.
Yeah.
So it just started from there. But I would say some hidden talent was there. It
Understood.
won't just come out like that. It was there.
Understood. Yes, yes. Following up from there, I was going through your blog, Fiksha, and it touches upon both traditional and modern cultural observations. And you talked about moving to the States. What's that one surprisingly cultural adjustment that you had to make in the States that you hadn't kind of foreseen?
Yeah, definitely you go through a shock. It takes, anybody goes at that age, it takes good 5 years, I would
Okay.
say,
To settle in
to
completely.
settle in, to accept that. Because here I grew up with my parents who were into spiritual practice.
Yes.
They were definitely more like it. They're not religious but more spiritual. So when you had that in you, that upbringing, and you go there, all of a sudden you see, okay, you don't see friends around, you don't
Have a social
and I was
circle.
not working other
Yeah.
than my college part little bit, university. Other than that, I had most of our social circle was only in the weekend, some parties and all. But people were working. I was not. Parenting, you cannot call, oh, I'm doing parenting as a job. They're also doing parenting. They have kids too. So when you secluded from the normal world that time, you do feel a little bit of left out. But I was never discouraged with it because I knew I'm raising two kids, making sure they will understand our values, our culture, our upbringing. Somehow I can infuse in them.
Okay.
So I made sure they learn Odissi dance. I made sure they would learn, like, they didn't really learn music part, but then at least the dance. Through dance, you make sure they're learning language. They have to understand Odia language little bit. And then if they have to learn Odia language and let's say an Abhinay comes up, you have to understand the story behind it.
Hmm.
Then you have to learn a little bit of mythology behind it. So, through that one little window, I was trying to push through as much cultural aspect there.
So while you were during the process of drafting these little pieces of art in the blog Fiksha, you were also parenting, and in tandem you
So again, as I said, the writing was very recent phenomena.
recently, yeah.
So all the writing happening now because kids are not home. They
Hmm.
both are having their own jobs. So my writing, when I whatever thought kind of hovers around me, like forces me, compels me to express, I would write. And when I write, the spiritual aspect of mine definitely bleeds through.
Okay.
It's most of my writings are either travelogues or reflective articles. So when you do reflection, some kind of mythological or spiritual connection comes. So I try to connect them.
And a lot of your writing, as I've gathered, delves into inner transformation, spiritual enlightening, all very, very, very pertinent subjects in today's world, I would say. So, and I've also seen that you are an avid traveler. So, the traveling shaped that in any way? Did you have any moment of epiphany, or were there a string of experiences that shaped this?
Now, travel, everybody desires to travel, a lot of people, but not necessarily everybody can
Gets
afford
to.
time and money and all that.
Correct. Yeah.
Fortunately, whenever we get time to travel, it gives me a break from my normal routine. So
Hmm.
I look forward to it
Okay.
because otherwise I'm home most of the time. So the travel gives me an opportunity to understand people around me, experience things in a different way. So it unplugs my normal motherly and wife routine or duties. I become an explorer automatically. So I try to observe whatever I see around me, and I try. So then automatically the scene what changes, it connects back to my root. Oh, how it would have been in India,
Oh, I see.
how they connect, how like, it was like I remember when I was last time, I haven't posted that, but it was in Lisbon when I was walking around. We walked up the step, the on little bit of hilly area. On top there was a little church, and near the church people have put like locks everywhere. You know how we go to temples here, we
Hmm.
put like dhaga bandte
Yeah, yeah,
hai
yeah.
somewhere something. So in church also they were just putting these locks, just basically they're locking their wishes there. So it just made me instantly felt, oh, doesn't matter where
Hmm.
we are in the world, but people have
Do have
similar
some
beliefs.
traditions and beliefs,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So you don't know how your subconscious mind will connect where,
Hmm.
how instantly. It amazes me.
What's that one travel destination that you'd always? I mean, every travel is special in their
Every
own which way.
special is their own way. Recently, I went to Banff, which was very beautiful because those glaciers, when melt in the summer, the water, some particle comes with it, and they don't sink; they float in the water. So that makes it beautiful emerald green or turquoise blue, depending on how many are there or the how the sunlight is. That was a very beautiful spot, I thought, and there were what I think pretty much every place. Definitely, the mountains attract me more than the oceans,
Hmm.
but even by the ocean, if it is quiet, if not too many crowded
Crowded, yeah.
people, then I would enjoy the ocean waves. It kind of if you keep your eyes closed and sit down, you would feel it will go with your breathing up and down. You can feel it, as if your whole body is like, rising and
Yeah,
falling.
absorbing that energy.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
because after all, we are like a 70% water in
Quarter.
the
Yeah,
body,
yeah.
right? So
Correct.
you'll feel that. The
Yes.
energy, you will feel it. Other than that, like, trails I enjoy, like, here and there when we go
Okay.
for
Do you
walk.
trek?
But not really fully trek, but wherever we get chance, like
Yeah.
a little
All right.
bit.
Got it. You've written extensively about the Jagannath Odia cultural tradition, and it is a global phenomena.
Yeah.
But growing up, you must have encountered and seen, come across yourself and from your ancestors a lot of traditions that might have been overlooked. So, what do you think that is that one Odia tradition that would need more global recognition and people must be aware of?
Nowadays, I think pretty much people know about Odisha, but Odisha is not only Jagannath and Puri.
Hmm.
Lot of there are about 60 plus tribes are there in
Yes.
Odisha.
Yes.
So every tribe has their different art,
Right.
their weaving
Hmm.
or painting or dance or some kind of indigenous art is there.
Correct.
So those aspect is not well known yet. So whenever I write, I have tried to cover. One I wrote about coat part weaving, how they weave
In
it,
Koraput.
korapur.
Correct.
Another is about pattachitra.
Right.
And recently I visited this during this trip. I visited near Ranapur area, near Nayagarh and all interior. One tribe they make this salapatra and sialipatra
Right. Right. Right.
leaf
Yes.
making. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
was trying to see how I can write and propose to different supporters who can fund them like a machines. So different areas we can explore. There is always to explore a lot
Yeah. In fact,
to
this.
present outside. So
Correct, correct. I just happened to. I was covering the Pravasi Bharati Divas, and the last day was for Odia artisans to showcase their, sort of indigenous art. And you mentioned about Salapatra, and they said that Hanuman Salapatra sculpture that he had made took about 50 days to.
wow,
Yeah. I mean, it was so intricate, and such finesse and dedication, attention to detail is required, that it's obviously needs to be preserved. It is what I felt.
yes.
Like you said, like as someone who writes in multiple languages, do you think certain emotions can be better expressed in one language than the other?
Every language is beautiful in their own way. How well connected you are with it makes a difference. English is definitely an easier version because they don't have that much of vocabulary. So, for example, if I write a beautiful romantic
Hmm.
poetry
Hmm.
in Odia or Hindi, you cannot translate it easily. You can only simply make a simple general translation, but you can never make the same beauty in it. Okay. When it comes to Hindi and Odia, I would say again, Odia has more vocabulary than Hindi. So Hindi people prefer, and even I when I write, because I'm not from a Hindi school or something, I
Right.
just learned it just by listening.
Hmm.
So just out of pure love for nature language. So uh, I find simple words are much more easier to express the emotions. For Odia has many words. You have choices
Correct.
to make it simple or complicated, contemporary or like little bit of classic.
Classical.
You
Okay.
have more
Hmm.
choice. So there is each. I was I would say here one of my senior there. She used to compose a lot of poems for Anup Jalota ji.
Okay.
So very senior Punjabi poet Kiran Nath ji. She said one day she would call me bete. So I was asking her, I'm having confusion when I'm writing multiple language, which language I'm supposed to write if thought comes. Then she said, very simplified. She said, when a thought comes, the very first time the thought descends, you will think in English, Odia, Hindi, one of the language.
Hmm.
Whatever language it came,
Hmm.
let that piece be in that language.
Oh. Okay.
That'll keep you very easy
Hmm.
so that you don't have to think
Think
and
again.
make
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
complicated,
Yeah.
because very first two line comes and then the rest you start
Hmm.
writing.
Then you kind of, if you begin to kind of expressing it in another language, the essence kind of gets diluted. Is
Little
it?
bit
Yeah.
diluted, like in Hindi to Odia you can still manage,
Hmm.
but not to English. It's very hard.
Tell me about authors that have had real profound influence on you. Who did you grow up reading during your early years or later years, for that matter?
I never read many people before, so I
Okay.
won't say anybody influenced me.
Hmm.
I simply follow my thoughts.
Okay.
My thoughts um, makes me write, either it's a simple language or complicated and all. I simply I'm very like my mentors both in Hindi and Odia, whoever guided me always told me stay truth to your thought. it will help you get the words. So I just simply write. I won't say anybody influenced me. I would read other people. I may like somebody's style. Oh, okay,
Yes,
this is like,
yes.
I read now because I started my journey so
Late,
late.
yeah.
So by then, your style is set. So
Hmm.
you cannot be
Imbibe
molded in,
anyone's
yeah,
other
you
styles, yeah.
cannot be molded after that,
Hmm, hmm,
right?
hmm.
But when I read other people, I
Hmm.
say, oh, okay, this way I can write also.
Right.
That way is also good. This,
Okay.
I don't have to be formal always.
Hmm, hmm,
I can be like a simple language.
hmm.
Things like I said, okay, I get confirmation ki mera writing is not like, completely out of something. It
Hmm.
is just an ordinary flow of thoughts.
Okay.
So,
The spiritual transformation that you have had experienced, tell us a little about it. Because your aura, it says that you choose your words wisely, you speak slowly, so that speaks volumes of it. Just tell us a little bit about your spiritual transformation.
um,
Or were you always spiritual growing up as well?
probably it was there. I
Yeah.
don't know. It was there, but I didn't practice
Hmm,
anything.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
But I think it comes with age.
Hmm,
One thing.
hmm,
Definitely, as you get older,
hmm.
you have seen life little bit more.
Yeah.
You have fought with your children little bit more. You have
Right.
experienced that argument and all that.
Hmm.
Then you learn, as a mother, you have to have the patience. The child will not have.
I thought you also meant you fought with your inner child as well throughout the
Yeah,
journey.
that also happens.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
definitely, it happens also. Like, many times you wish to do something, but the situation demands in a
Hmm,
different way.
hmm,
Your motherly role, your wife role
hmm.
demands in
So
a
in a
different
different
way.
way,
So
yes.
you behave differently.
Hmm.
So that whatever that ego, super ego, whatever the
Correct,
in you
correct.
that make
Yeah.
that place.
Hmm.
But pandemic has to do a big role in
Hmm.
it. My
How?
spiritual journey,
Hmm.
I still don't follow any guru or anything yet,
Hmm.
but during pandemic,
Yeah.
I definitely tried to cut down my social life a
Okay,
lot.
okay.
Writing took off. That needed time. My zone. Automatically, your social life, like, subsided, and you were not mingling with people
Hmm.
because of pandemic. So everything came together.
Correct.
It came together, and that time, I probably all my writing and art or drawing, painting,
Hmm.
whatever I would say, they all came as a meditation. I would be so calm. When you are quiet, when you're not interacting with your other people, your mind
Becomes
makes
still
space,
space, yeah.
space for new things to observe.
Becomes receptive.
Yes,
Okay.
becomes more receptive. So that is when I would say my spiritual part shined a little bit more, and all my writings also started showing there. But I don't know if I'm very much spiritual, religious, by practice. I don't think so. I believe in more like in a karma yogi.
Hmm.
So you have to believe that in every soul, like if I'm seeing a God in you, if I'm God seeing every other people I meet, then that is a spiritual practice for
Right,
me.
right.
So, but if I see some God in you, how can you? I hate you. How can I dislike you, right? If I like God, I have to like you too.
Hmm.
So that is when you start to understand what is unconditional love
Hmm.
is. Otherwise, our love is always
Yeah,
conditional. Even a
absolutely.
mother's love for children, maybe about 7 8 months, is unconditional. After that, you start putting conditions.
The
So
expectations start
yeah,
pouring in,
expectation
right?
starts like, don't eat that, don't pick up this, don't crawl here, like, start expecting
Right,
unknowingly a lot of things.
right. How do you actually kind of combat or mitigate that? I mean, for parents, I mean, what did you like to say? I mean, it's difficult. It's easier said than done, obviously, to maintain that thin line of attachment. But then again,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
do you
like,
do it?
you are a human being, you will go through emotion.
Yeah.
There are moments, there are things with your kids when your kids are, I totally believe our old school of thoughts, right? How our brain develops up to 16 to 18 year. It does develop after, but pretty much what we gather our knowledge up to that age.
Hmm.
After that, whatever we have learned, we only manipulate and like multiply that.
Okay,
Okay.
understood. Yeah.
So till then, as a mother, I felt it's my duty, even if they like or dislike or whatever, it's my duty to mold and shape them,
Yeah.
give them the best that I can give. I cannot say what I'm giving is the best
Best.
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
best, but what I know, to
Yeah.
my knowledge,
Hmm.
that is the best,
Okay.
right? So after that, you don't want to be the helicopter parent. You
Hmm.
want to step back a little bit,
Yeah.
think they are the children came through you. They're
Hmm.
not your property,
True.
right? So now you just sit and relax and watch them. When you think they need a helping hand or just like a little bit of guide or something,
Give them a
you
helping
give
hand.
them advice, or they will come to you when you don't ask them too much. Because I see in India, maybe parents little over parent, they just expect too much or they just tell them too much. So
Hmm.
kids either rebellious or
Hmm.
they are too close. Okay. But for me, I don't fall into either. I just believe in like giving them space. I believe in having my own space. So I just maintain a little distance and watch them how they are doing. If they need, they always come back to you. So it's beautiful to see them as growing as a beautiful human being and practicing or using some of the knowledge they have acquired over the years. It's a like as a mother actually I'm learning. So learning never stops in any age, right? Along with them, I'm also growing.
Like an ancillary emotion stemming out from what you've all mentioned right now, like seeing God in other beings, unconditional love, is also feeling for a lot of causes that you believe in. Like uh, you would want this not to happen in this world. You would like to stop it there and there itself. Which brings me to the point that you have been supporting a lot of causes which are dear to you. What can you tell us a little bit about those activities and causes that you pursue? In?
Okay. So where I live, Boston has many organizations. There are founded there or innovated there. There are a lot of things. A lot of people I know, I come across their charitable heart to begin with. Then they have found a cause, they have pursued, they collected funds, fundraising happens, and they just go back and help that sect of people. So when you are moving around with the community, you get to know those people, then you start to know about the cause. And once the cause touches your heart,
Hmm.
you start saying, oh, I can also do something. And at some point in your life, once your basic necessity of roti, kapda, makan is
It's fulfilled.
satisfied,
Yeah, yeah.
then money loses its utility value. So that is the time you have to, and the society, the environment, the whatever, the earth has given us enough to be who I am today. So now it's my time to give back. So that is when I got exposed to multiple
Charitable. Yeah.
charitable organizations.
Organizations.
I definitely relate to a couple of them. I believe in education. I do want the primary education is very key.
Hmm.
Only if you get exposure to that primary,
Okay.
it opens up the lock.
Hmm.
The kid will have a curiosity to go further.
Hmm.
So my charity is like an Ekal Vidyalay. It's like in a one teacher schools in
Okay.
remote areas
Okay.
where government schools are not very much active.
Hmm.
So those areas, this charity goes there. They teach them not only primary education up to third grade, they also do like they teach. Now the kids go to school, parents got, women got little bit time, so they
Right.
teach them organic farming.
Okay.
There could be few ladies, they would be interested in sewing training or any other local, like, and I've been to one village where they can grow jasmine flowers.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so it gives them economic sustainability. They grow, they sell it in the city, like in all these weddings, venues, everything happens. It
Hmm.
earns them money.
Hmm.
So ECOL also helps them a little bit in facilitating that part.
So not simply education, but also
No,
vocational
yes,
capabilities.
there are
Okay.
like 5 tier thing. Then
Hmm.
also they try to bring telemedicine to them,
Oh.
just for a basic your health checkup.
Hmm.
They have trained like sevikas. They would go travel with their basic kit and just a normal blood test and blood pressure test, things like that, eye test, and if they need to refer them to other places, because all these remote people, they don't go out,
Hmm.
or if somebody got too much educated, went out, never come back, also that is also there, but
True.
very rarely that happens. So that was one charity. The other charity I support is Visionate.
Yes.
Visionate is also like, their motto is educate, enable, educate, and empower.
Mm-hmm.
So they only work in the visually impaired area.
Okay.
So a lot of people, what happens nowadays, people do not realize that they develop CVI. It's like a cerebral visual
Visual
impairment
impairment.
where
Yeah.
your retina and brain is not getting
They're
connected.
not in
They are,
sync. Yeah.
yeah, they're not in sync.
Hmm.
So, but if you detect it early, like
Hmm.
the golden period
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
like,
1 to
up
3 years.
1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
If you can, then they can probably treat you or train you or some kind of rehabilitation program. With that, you will learn to live with it as
Okay.
you grow up, as opposed to finding it like, because in schools and all, you will
Hmm.
have a lot of challenge.
Correct.
So it's not easy for parents and all with those challenges, but I do believe, because they again do the education
Hmm.
part
Hmm.
for the little child.
Hmm.
So, but in fact, we did open a Vision Aid Center
Hmm.
yesterday here in Bhubaneswar,
Okay.
it with partnering with LV Prasad Eye Institute. The founders were there, and I just hope, I believe this LV Prasad has itself a big umbrella unit. Under them, there are branches and sub branches.
Hmm.
Through this program, partnering, the rehab part could be enhanced more. So, and I'm very happy to be a little bit instrumental bringing them to Odisha.
Oh well, that's great. I mean, kudos to you. Have you watched the movie Swadesh by any chance?
Yes, yes,
Do you feel that urge every time you come back from the states to
yes.
India?
It is
How
there.
what's the emotional downpour that happens with you every time you come back from the states to Berhampur or India in
See,
general?
my parents are not there anymore.
Okay.
So if there is parents, the umbrella is there. You have the
Support
natural
system.
attraction to
Yes.
come back,
Yes.
right? But now that they're not there, but I always felt my ground, my root is Odisha.
Hmm.
And in US, I don't need to go back and give. There are not
Hmm.
that kind of poverty. There is poverty,
Right.
definitely
Right.
there
Of
is
course,
there.
there is.
It's
Yes. Yeah.
but I'm not exposed to them as much
Hmm.
because I didn't grow up with them,
Right.
so I don't see that as much.
Hmm.
But I see the need here. So giving back is a win-win
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are giving somebody, you are
Hmm.
not giving anything. You're absolutely nothing giving. You're using your time meaningfully, right? What you're getting in return, you're getting unconditional love. You're getting blessings. You're helping somebody.
Hmm.
Somebody gets benefited by your doing something.
Hmm.
So it's a win-win thing. So when I come, definitely I like, maybe when earlier years when I used to come, the shops and malls and saris used to attract me. Not anymore. Absolutely not anymore. I feel like, I don't need those
How long
material
since you
things.
have completely not been
I
enticed
would
by?
say 7 8 years
Okay.
minimum. That, before that I was coming also not that often,
Huh.
but I would say last 10 year my material need has declined, like, significantly. I don't find any joy adding more material. I feel every time I buy something, I always think in my closet, what can I discard?
Hmm.
There has to be room there. So
What's next on your travel bucket list in that case?
within Odisha, I want to visit in Baripada. There is a ashram.
Yeah.
I know a Babaji there and who came for my book launch. So I want to visit that ashram because I find that ashram to be very. I have never been there, but he had shared the Krishnaji's picture many times with me, which made me somehow I feel like I need to go there because one poem I wrote about him also. That's why I just want to go there. And
About Lord Krishna?
yes,
Hmm.
I've written many poems which are where my hero is Krishna. I don't, they may sound very simple romantic poem,
Hmm.
but if you completely detach the material and go back in, the hero will always be by Krishna.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's easier to write for him. Somebody had asked me, why not Rama? I said, no, no, no. The challenge is Rama is too simple.
Hmm.
Krishna is a little more playful, so you have room to write.
Layered. Yeah.
There are layered emotion you can
Okay.
express with that.
Okay. Okay. So what's next in terms of writing? You already had a book launch, fairly successful at that. Are you writing something right
So the
now?
same book, Ashtanaika Tattva Kavita, which
Right.
was in Odia.
Right.
My mentor was Dr. Jaikrishna Choudhury. He was from Bhubaneswar. So we are both co-authoring now the English version of it.
Or you yourself translating
Yeah,
it in
yeah, yeah.
English? Okay.
So it I won't call completely translation. It
Translation.
is on the same topic a new book because we have added a lot to
Hmm.
that. Because whatever we thought might have missed here or
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
we added a lot,
Hmm.
and hopefully that sometime this year early we expect that book. Other than that, songs, poems, some projects are there in pipeline.
Okay.
So my poems, two of the poems are ready. They should be launching sometime soon.
It was a delight to have you in the podcast, Manorama ma'am. Thank you so much for coming.
It's a delight for me too.
Thank you.